Okay, well, welcome to the Shaun Newman podcast. Today I'm joined by Mr. Clarke MacArthur. Thanks for joining me, big fella.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we were supposed to do it yesterday, but it kind of fell through. So the first thing I got to get to is everywhere I go around Lloyd, I hear about Clarke, and if I've got him on yet, and if I can get him on to ask him about if he does in fact golf with Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I do. Um, we moved down here, 3 years ago now? So I met him through a friend of mine who plays on the PGA Tour. Jordan lives in Jupiter as well. And I joined this golf club called the Medalist. And my buddy Dom was like, "Hey, do you want to come out and play with Michael Jordan, like this group?" And I heard about this game. It's like obviously it's a big deal out here. They got like 6 or 7 guys. There's no rules out here in Florida for golf, really. You can play a 6 some, 7 some. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. I want to play for sure. And I'm like, how much do I got to play for? Like, because obviously he's gonna gamble and whatever. And he's like, oh, you can play him for like $500. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. And so that night I was all nervous, because I obviously never met him, watched a lot of his videos, always like loved him as an athlete. So I get to the course, and we're all hitting balls. There's like 6 guys, and hitting range balls. I'm like, what's going on? Where is the guy? So then we all go to the putting green. We're putting a little bit, and then you just hear like this, wah, 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 like he's got all these Ferraris. So he like wheels in, whatever, opens the door, gets in his cart. He's got like his drinks are set up there. He's got his own personal cart, like his own Jordan cart, because he's so big. And he drives right by us. He's like, let's go right to the first tee, so we all go. And yeah, that's pretty much the way it started. So I ended up breaking even with him that day. And every round we play 36 holes every day. We play 4 days a week, 36 holes. And we do it in like 5 hours with 6 guys, 6 caddies, 6 carts. And my dad comes out. You got to ask my dad about it. He comes out and does a little side gambling. He rides in the car with me and bets against him all the time. So it's pretty funny.
So you're golfing with him 4 days a week,
Yeah.
36 holes a day.
Yeah, it's more tiring than when I played hockey. Especially when you mix some beers in there too once in a while.
That's unbelievable. The documentary, I mean, COVID, I don't know how we can get into it, but, like everything's shut down. And if in 10 years when my kids are older and they ask me, what do you remember about COVID-19? I'm going to be like, well, XYZ, Tiger King, and the Michael Jordan documentary, right? Like
Yeah.
that's pretty much what you're going to remember. And you're in a
Yeah.
land of where Michael Jordan's there. Oh, wait, and the Tiger King's there too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The Tiger King is something too. Wow. I thought my life was messed up. They take it to a whole new level there. Yeah. Uh, so MJ ended up. He opened his own golf course last year called the Grove 23. So all the guys that play, the same guys played. Dwight Freeney, the NFL player, myself, Darren, this other guy that Mike's been hanging out with for like 20 years, and then a couple other guys play. We played with Charles Oakley yesterday. He's pretty funny, dude. There's some cool guys like my locker stall. It's literally myself, Keegan Bradley, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson. This first little row. It's MJ always jokes. He's like, I don't know how you got in here. He's like, this is supposed to be the pro athletes in this row. he loves to let me know how average I was when I was playing.
Have you watched the documentary?
Yeah, I've been watching it. Yeah.
He never stops then, eh?
Never stops letting you know how great he is. Yeah, he's pretty funny. He's exactly what you see is exactly what he is every day. Like the switch goes on, and he's built for being in front of the lights for sure.
You mentioned other guys in there. Have you golfed with Tom Brady then?
I haven't golfed with him, no. No, met him there couple weeks ago. I met him, but play with Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler a bunch. Rory McIlroy's out here. I haven't got to play with him either. I guess he's pretty exciting to watch. And Dom Bazzelli, he's a good buddy of mine. He's on tour, so I play with him. Keegan, all those guys are out here. Obviously, it's a good spot to practice when they're on their off weeks and stuff. So you get a lot of good golfers.
How's your golf game come along? Golfing with the likes of that?
It's good now. I'm scratch, from all the courses we play out here. I play to a scratch in our game. We have a set game with Jordan. All our shots are. I got to give him a shot on each side. He's like a 2 handicap, and it just works its way through. All the guys' games have to match up because there's a lot of action going on with everybody. So everyone's numbers got to match up.
It's unreal. I bet when you were walking way back when you first started golfing with those guys, you're like, how on earth am I sitting in this room? I mean, you've had a great career, but Tom Brady, Michael Jordan are the epitome of greatness.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's funny how certain things happen. I get injured and I'm upset about that, and then we move here, and then like this whole new chapter opens up, and it's been pretty fun. So the whole thing's been a pretty fun ride. Not bad for coming from Lloydminster. It's pretty cool to get to see what I'm lucky to get to see some of the stuff I've been able to see.
Well, let's start there. Let's go back to time in Lloydminster. I watched an interview you had with it was after you scored the OT winner in what would that have been? Game.
Which one? Which
Game
one was
6.
that? I had so many. Of them.
Game 6 in Ottawa, when you were with Ottawa in the playoffs after coming back off your injury, and Ron MacLean had your parents call you, and they kind of partially interviewed you, and I thought it was really well done. Anytime you get to listen to Ron MacLean, he's the best at what he does.
He's great. He's great.
You said growing up, your parents taught you many lessons. You said good ones and tough ones, and I thought maybe we could elaborate on that because I was wondering what were some of the lessons you learned early on.
I think I can't. When I think back on it, my dad, I mean, he'd piss me off. We'd go at it a lot, but like when I really think back on it now, like now that it's all over and remembering like kind of what he did, I mean, he was like a genius as far as, at the time I'd get so upset with like some of the stuff, but he was setting me up for like, this is going to be hard. This road's going to be hard. No one's going to, there's going to be no pity party. No one cares if you don't make it. He's like, if you want to get out of Lloyd and do this, and it's going to be hard. And they were hard on me. My mom was always kind of the one I could talk to a little more about it. And but at the same time, they built me up to, even if he, get pissed off at me for my work ethic or something one night, he would always reassure how good I am, and he was really good at boosting my confidence. And I needed that big time when you get to pro and all the way through. There's just little obstacles all the way through, and I was built and ready for it.
Well, when you look at your career path, I think it's you had to grind through some things. Like you're a guy who's one of the most successful players to come out of this area, but you're never taken in the bantam draft. And I can't remember myself particular if I recall the bantam draft, but for you, where you were at your career even then, do you remember that pissing you off?
That killed me. I was so upset when just because I had good years, but we were in Lloyd, and I don't know if like they didn't see me enough, or I mean, obviously we played back in the day. I was small, but I had skills, and but I just kind of got overlooked, and I was devastated about it. And then as the weeks went on, to make it worse, like that's when they start giving out letters. Derek Gervais, I'm just trying to think of some guys. Lee Zelaski, just the good players in town. Chapman, all these guys would get. I think Chapman was actually drafted, but they were getting letters for invites to go to the, and I didn't get a letter, not one letter. And I think I'm not positive in this. You have to look back on it, but I think I led the league in scoring that year with Lee. I think we were both 1 and 2, or I can't remember how it went, but so I was kind of like, I don't know what, and my parents were kind of like baffled by it too a little bit. Like and I remember my mom like calling and trying to figure out what was going on. And then Mike Winiger was a scout in Medicine Hat, and my dad knew him. And I think that's how I got a look from Medicine Hat. But I remember my mom that summer is like, you're going to go to Edmonton and you're going to play in the summer league in Edmonton, like the AAA tournaments. She's like, and I was like, I don't want to go, I want to stay home, just hang out with my buddies and golf. And she was like, no, like, we're going, you're going to do this, whatever. And I went there and I played really good the whole summer, like at these tournaments with like the so-called first round picks of the bantam draft. And I didn't see any difference between them and me. Like, I really didn't. And that's what made me move to Strathcona the next year to play against all those guys.
Just to try and get on a bigger level, a bigger scale, more site opportunities for the scouts.
Yeah, exactly. And then I finished second in scoring in that league that year in Strathcona, and then that was it. After that, I had some Medicine Hat was obviously trying to get me to sign, and there's a bunch of other teams that were giving me like opportunities, and then so that was kind of the coming out party, I guess, for me.
But when you look back on that, Clarke, was it maybe one of the better things that happened to you? That it, like it
Not
getting
getting
passed
drafted.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, when it was, because it just like lit a fire under me that I was just like plain pissed off all the time after that, like trying to prove to everyone. And I felt like I did that a lot of my career just because I wasn't the greatest player. I wasn't the biggest guy. I wasn't the strongest. I wasn't, and I was always just like, had like a chip on my shoulder, and, it was like, I belong here too. Or I don't know. I just used it to fuel me all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think I read somewhere you get cut from, or not cut, you get sent down from Med Hat, you go play Drayton Valley, and that year you go from like 5'4" and grow like 6 inches or something.
Yeah. So I got a good story about this too. Like this, everyone in town that knows my dad, this is great too. So I get cut from Medicine Hat. So basically, I had a good camp, and they're like, "You're making it at 16." They're like, "You're gonna make it. We're gonna get you a billet tomorrow." So I went home after the game, called my dad, my mom, like, I'm gonna make the team. Like, they just told me I'm getting a billet. So I was all pumped up. Next day I go in there, and the general manager goes, "We made a mistake. You need one more year. We're not going to be a good team this year. We want you to go play." So I was like, I was so mad, because I was like, Western Hockey League is like the NHL for the kids, right? I mean, that's like the league. So you get all your status, like trying to get a girl to date me and Lloyd, you got to be. So whatever. So I come home and I'm thinking, okay, worst case, like I can play for the Blazers. I think they're the Blazers at the time, weren't they?
Yeah.
I think they were called I think they're the Blazers. So they had this bonehead of a coach, Wayne LeBrie, I think was his name. I don't even know. Do you know which coach I'm talking about? I mean,
I know
I can't
you're.
remember the.
Well, there was a stretch of about 3 or 4 of them. I can't remember all their names, but I remember when
Yeah.
I was trying out, he told me to go try out somewhere else, and I ended up playing junior in a different town. And I just remember watching you not play there as well, and others. And I mean, but I know who
So
you're talking about.
we go sit down with them, thinking I'm going to be, top player on the team. Uh, I'll stay in Lloyd. This would be great. I can go to high school in Lloyd, play one more year here. And so we go into this meeting, my dad and I and the coach, and he's like, Clarke might be able to fill in on the fourth line here and there. Like, he's going to have to earn his way into whatever. And my dad goes, listen, buddy. and my dad was my biggest fan. So, and I love him for that. But he's like, he's going to be the best player on your team, let alone. And I'm sitting there like, am I dad? And he goes, he's not playing here on your fourth line or you're in and out of the lineup. He's like, Drayton Valley, the best team in the league's been calling us for 2 weeks. We're trying to make it work with you guys because we want him to stay in town. Drayton's going to have him play on the second line, which I did the whole year. This guy was, it was like, I don't know what it was with the Blazers back then. I mean, Scotty Hartnell went through there, and I think Reds played there too, and it worked out for them. But like, I know Lee Zelaski was a really good hockey player in juniors, and he went back there, and they gave him the runaround too. And he played in the Western Hockey League for 4 or 5 years. I mean, like, I don't know what it was. Like, they were upset that we're from Lloyd, and normally you like the guys from Lloyd, I don't know what it was, but that was another great thing that happened. At the time, I was so homesick and upset because I didn't want to go to Drayton Valley, especially when you pull in there. I mean, Lloyd looks like Vegas compared to that place. So I get there and they got like a full like all-star team. I play second line, we rip it up and we win the whole thing. And I mean, every time we played Lloyd, I'm like, God, I want to just kick their ass every single time. And that Labrie would like send guys out to try and fight me, like challenge me. It was unbelievable. It was hilarious. But that was such a fun year. I remember scoring the first time we came to Lloyd. I think I got the game-winning goal in it was like 5 minutes left in the third, and I scored, and I was like, this couldn't be any better right now. Anyway, I still love Lloyd. I have nothing against Lloyd. I love Lloyd. Love the people in Lloyd. It was just like it gave me such a sour taste of. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand. I still don't.
I think our group, that stretch of years that you talk about, I was right smack. Well, I was a year younger than you, and we all experienced that. I mean, I'm not even putting myself in the same boat as you, but we all experienced the confusion of the leadership at that time. There was talented hockey players in Lloyd, and none of them stuck around Lloyd, or very few. I shouldn't say not all of them. There was a bunch that just left, and I mean, you talk about Lee. That's funny. I hadn't heard about Lee, but Lee's won national championships with the U of A, right?
Oh yeah, and he was a great Western Hockey League player. Like he was a two-way second line player in the Western League. Like, I mean, it was like if you were from Lloyd, it was harder to make the team. They'd rather have someone come in from out of town where normally, to fill the rink, you want some locals. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, you got me all pissed off now. Trying to enjoy my day.
Welcome to the welcome to the podcast there, Clarke. I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
But,
me too.
Once again, though, I go, it's probably the best thing that happened to you. It was a blessing in disguise. Yeah. You end up not playing for Lloyd, and maybe things would have worked out perfectly. Instead, I don't know if you dodge a bullet, if we can call it that, but you end up going to the top team in the AJ and winning it.
Yeah, that's still to this day. I mean, we won in the Western Hockey League too. The AJHL one was my favorite one to win. I don't know what it was, like just a good like group of guys, but we played till like June that year. We went to the Doyle Cup, and we should have won that too. Against Chilliwack, they had a really good hockey team too. But that was such a fun year. It was nice being close to home too. My parents could come to the games. I missed that when I played in the NHL. I missed having my parents come to the games, and I used to when I played in Medicine Hat, or I don't know, I just felt better, felt safe. I don't know what it was. When they're in the crowd, I always felt better, and I miss that when we I had to move away where that wasn't doable anymore.
Well, and I think like your dad coached you in hockey all growing up, and then Deb obviously coached us in ball all the way through. Like we
got a couple rings in ball too.
Yeah, we did. We were a freaking good team. I mean, I got to play with you guys every second year, right? But every second year we just dominated.
Yeah, that was fun. It's nice having your mom coach too. Always got to play. It's great. Yeah, those are some fun times, man. That ball season. I couldn't, when hockey was over, I couldn't wait to do that ball. So fun.
Did you
These
miss it
kids
after?
play.
Oh, sorry.
No, I said these kids nowadays, I feel bad for the kids now because it's a 12-month sport. And if you don't do it, you can't keep up because, you had these parents that are trying to do anything to get their kids to the NHL, and you should play golf. You should play tennis. You should be playing. I remember I used to see Scotty Hartnell playing tennis over at Bud Miller, like in the summers, like guys playing the NHL. Like, you got to take a break, give those muscles a break, like your groins and your hips, and play ball. Like, put a chew in, hit one out of the park. It's great. Just kidding, Mom. Not a chew, but big league chew.
It's funny. I was telling the wife, I was explaining to her, wife's from Minnesota. She's not a hockey person. She has no idea who you are, which
What?
is, yeah.
From Minnie and not a hockey person, huh?
Oh, that's a crazy thing. They call it the hockey state, but
Mhm.
it doesn't even compare to anywhere in Canada, which, I mean, probably shouldn't be surprising.
Yeah,
But
that's true. That's fair.
I was telling her a funny little story about you that my first alcoholic beverage ever came at the expense of you and the Kuzak brothers.
Really?
Yeah.
Where the heck was that?
At the Kuzaks. Somehow we were all
At their
over
farm?
there at their farm.
Oh, okay. Were we that like gopher hunting and stuff? I remember
We
I
snuck
had so many concussions. I can't even remember. I can't even remember yesterday.
yeah, Landon and Shane will get a kick if they're listening to this. But we were at
Those guys are awesome.
we're at their farm one night. I honestly I can't remember all the details, but I remember it was Mike's Hard Lemonade, and I remember thinking, geez, that ain't so bad, because I can't remember how old we were.
Yeah.
And then we tried
18 probably, right? At least
that's
18.
right, 18 for sure, 18. And then we tried there was nothing else, so we tried Prohibition, which is non-alcoholic beer, right? But at the time I was like,
yeah.
A beer, this is terrible. Why the hell would you drink this?
Yeah. That's so funny. It had been, I only went there once. I think I only stayed over there once. We were like in the truck shooting gophers.
Yeah, like we're talking
crushing suds. If I told anyone here, like I'm in Florida, if I were told, like I should just tell that story, like about if I said gopher hunting. I mean, I don't even think anyone have a clue what that I was talking about.
I was just for my 34th birthday a week ago. I went out and crushed Pilsner and shot gophers. That was the day. It was perfect.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it. It's good times.
How has COVID been down there? Like with everything going on?
It's all right. I mean, it doesn't feel like what you're seeing in the media here. Like it feels like people are still getting out. We get out on the boat all the time and people are gathering. It seems like I went to this dive bar, it's called. I was getting takeout the other night. It's like 3 nights ago. And the place was packed. No one had a mask on. I was like, look at these animals. I'm like, we're going to be going right back to lockdown. I mean, it's crazy. Waitresses had masks, but no one else. Everyone's just hanging out. I mean, just unreal. So I don't know. I think people have gone so crazy that they rather get it than sit at home and, hide. They're like, I don't care. I'm going out. I'm going to party. I'm going out for dinner. I'm going to lose my mind. So it's definitely different here from like New York or something. You read those stories. I mean, they're living in hell there.
Yeah, well, and I'm pretty thankful for where we're at. We're, Canada, we're all spread out. I mean, there's some big centers, but other than that, I always laugh, like, it gets minus 40 out here. You don't want to go over to anyone's house anyways. You're just like, leave me indoors. Keep the heat on.
Yeah. You're in the prairies. That wind just blows the COVID right through there anyway.
You ever, do you miss living up here at all? I mean, you're living in freaking Florida. The sunshine, the water, the golf courses, everything is beautiful down there.
Yeah, I mean, I like it here. It's great. I mean, do I miss living in Lloyd per se? No, like I haven't been there for a long time. The weather's my neck's already absolutely in shambles. I don't think I could take that -40 anymore. I wouldn't be able to turn it. But I do when we come home. Like we came back last Christmas and surprised my parents with the kids, and it was cold as hell. But I got that little like tingling in my stomach every time I like come into town there. Just all the good memories, with Tyler Dugan, Jay Clark, all those guys used to hang out with as kids, and going up to like Minnesota Lake. And so I love the prairies in the summer. I mean, I don't know what it is about looking at a field with, where it's just never ending. I don't know why that feels good to me, but it does. I don't know how to explain anything else besides that, but it's definitely home.
When I used to come home from Ontario, I grew up on a farm, obviously, and as soon as I hit Saskatchewan, I shit you not, every single year I get stuck behind a cattle hauler, and the smell of manure was like, it smells like home, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how there's just certain things that it just takes you right back to when you're a kid or whatever. But I definitely cherish the years I had in Lloyd growing up there for sure.
How are you feeling? I mean, like that's probably another thing that gets asked around here an awful lot is there just isn't much talk of it, right? Or people don't know, I guess.
Yeah, as far as my head, I'm fine. I feel like I fully recovered. My neck was the problem. Like between my C2 and C3, I have no jelly left in between there. So it's like bone, it's like rubbing all the time. So if I wanted to continue playing, I would have had to get a neck fusion. And that's when I said, that's it, I'm done. Like, cause a good friend of mine, Derek Dorsett, who I play with in Medicine Hat, he had the same problem. He got the neck fusion. Literally 10 games into the next season, he got hit and it separated, and then it's just a mess. If you get a fusion in your neck, like no matter what, like I want to be able to golf, I want to be able to still play softball. Like that stuff just hinders your mobility. So I got to get it worked on all the time. Every week or two, I do maintenance on it and whatever. But pretty good for playing as long as I did. I mean, there's guys in way worse shape, and guarantee there's a guy, an oil change guy in Lloyd that's back's in way worse shape than my neck. So I'm not complaining.
When you when you go to you win the AJ and you finally crack the dub, right? I think probably that year you're like, I'm making the Tigers. I don't think there's any doubt in your mind, or they've probably already talked to you. I mean, you just freaking won the AJ and set the world on fire, kind of thing. Like, how cool was it to finally step into the WHL?
It was, and I'm glad I didn't play at 16 because it would have been a lot of growing pains, and playing it in the Alberta Junior at 16, I got to work on my skills. I used to go to the rink at lunchtime. I remember the town was so small. I had class in the morning, and I would literally, my last class is over at like 11:45. I would literally go over to the rink because I barely knew anyone. The team, they're all 20 and 19. We had an old team, like we had an older veteran team. And I would go skate at our rink, put my gear on because I'm like, this is unreal. We got our own lockers. We got our own. I would just drive over there and skate for an hour at lunch, eat my sandwich on the way there, skate, shoot, go back to school for the last hour, and then go back to practice for 2 hours, after school. So I got so much time, and I put so much effort into it that year that when I got there at 17, I was like, all right, screw you guys. Like, I belong here.
And you had all 3 years there, Clarke. You were about as consistent as it could be on putting up points and being a contributor to that team.
Yeah, we had a great coach there, Willie Desjardins, and I was a fire pistol. I mean, you remember me in sports, but I mean, I was, when I think back on some of the stuff, it's not like I had the greatest attitude. I had to learn a lot, but when I got with Willie, he unloaded on me. I mean, I was banging my stick, taking dumb penalty, and he really dialed me down. He's healthy scratched me a couple times, like just said, "You're out tomorrow." Okay. Like, I love you as a player. We're not trading you. We love you, but you got to sit out. He's like, I got to make an example. You can't punch a guy, and take a 10-minute miscon. Like, I would just blow up. And then he kind of reined me in, and I got better and better at it, became a better teammate. And I felt like throughout my NHL career, if people talked about me, I was always a good teammate, where when I played with you, maybe, or in Pee Wee, or they would have said the guy was shithead,
I remember having
So,
words with you on the ice.
yeah, I mean, I had words with everybody, I'm sure, but
That's
I
probably
I was
true.
just so intense and so,
Yeah.
and I didn't know how to handle it, and Willie really flipped that around for me, and I would have never made it otherwise.
What was it like getting scratched the first time?
I mean, because I was one of the top players on the team, so it wasn't like, hey, Clarke had a bad game, we're gonna sit him out, and like the papers are on it, like, why is he sitting out? Like, why is, like, what's going on? Like, and then so I just told the paper, or the newspaper, I'm like, I can either, Willie said, if you want to say you're sick, or what, you say whatever you want, you're sitting out. And I remember thinking, it was my draft year, I'm like, should I just say that I'm sick, and then no one will know? And then I'm like, screw that. So I'm like, yeah, I took a bad penalty, I was, hurt our team, and I just took it on the chin, because the media would have found out anyway. There's some guy on our team that would have, it was going to get out anyway. So I just, like, whatever, I made a mistake, and the hell with it.
Well, I tell you what, I think if you would have said you were sick, for sure it would have gone out. And for sure in your draft year, that would have hurt you more than just owning up to it.
Yeah. And there's no repercussion. I mean, it wasn't like I was in trouble with anyone. I mean, it was fine. Everyone blows up once in a while, don't they?
Yes. All
Yeah. Yeah.
it's nobody's perfect. And
Yeah.
there when you're passionate about something, it's that energy at times is hard to control.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What was it the second year you're there, you guys win it all. And you win the AJ. Man, that's a big feat. Then you get into Med Hat, and in year 2, you guys go the distance. Like, what was that year like?
It was great, because the first year I got there, Medicine Hat hadn't made the playoffs for like 7 years. So they fired the coach. They got rid of some of the players, and Willie Desjardins and Doug Litster came in. And wait, did Doug come in the first year? So this is where my concussion stuff. Yeah, he was there the first year. So they come in and they rebuild this team, and we squeak into the playoffs. And now we're building like an identity. Our team is like, we're the bad Medicine Hat Tigers. Like, you come into our rank, like, we had guys that could fight. We had Darren Reed. We had all these, we were a good team. And so we get the last spot in the playoffs, I think, and we play Swift Current, their first place. We go into Swift Current, spank them 2 games in a row, come home, spank them, sweep them, just punt them first round. So like, now everyone knows, like, we're the real deal, And we ended up losing to Red Deer, who won the league in Game 7 in the second round. But like, so we went in after that season, that summer, we're like, okay, guys, everyone train, we can win this whole thing, And like, we had some partiers, but he was really good at managing our team. And we came back the next year, and we're like, we started off slow. We were like 500 for like the first like 10 or 12 games. And we had we were an all-star team, but we were all just dicking around. And I remember Willie coming up, just blowing up on us on the bus. And after that, I think we won like 25 games out of 27. We just went on a tear, and then we went to the playoffs like a joke too. We swept Everett in the final, so it's pretty good. Went back to the Med Hat Parade.
Oh, the Med Hat Parade?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. That was a fun 3 years there too, man. Love to go back and do those over.
Do you miss being on the buses?
No, God, no, not at all. The Iron Lung. If like, can you imagine how many times I rode around the planet on a bus? The miles must have been incredible. The Western Hockey League, it must have been incredible. I was a pro traveler, though. Everyone used to just lay between the seats. You all bring like a little foam and a pillow. Talk about, who's looking good at Med Hat High and who isn't. Next thing you know, you're out cold. My mom's shaking her head right now. I can feel it already.
What was your favorite trip to go on back in the day? Where did you want to go play? Like, did you just have a barn where you walked in, you're like, yeah, I own this place?
Where the heck did I play? I mean, I love playing in Red Deer. Red Deer was a lot of fun. I used to torch Lethbridge back. That was probably my Lethbridge. I always had a heyday against. It seemed like they were the team I always had good nights against. So I like going to Lethbridge. I like going to Regina because Chapman was in Regina. And then you go to where the hell is the last? Oh, Moose Jaw. Lee was in Moose Jaw. Like you see these guys, and Lee was my best friend growing up. So, and we had battled literally since we were 5 years old. His dad and my dad had been splitting us up every day. We went at it ping pong. Name a sport. We fought all the way through. So like, you line up against them. It was pretty fun to see like our hard work kind of paid off and give them a little slash on the back of the legs, and it was always fun playing those guys.
How about playing in the United States? All the kids always talk about Portland or Everett or just the fans there and how crazy the barns were.
Yeah, there's some good. Seattle they played in their NBA stadium there, so it was a mess. But Portland was crazy. What was it? Tri-Cities. I'm trying to think. I think Portland was the one that was real. Like you wouldn't expect hockey to be big, but the rinks were packed. I always loved playing in Spokane too. Spokane was awesome.
What was it about Spokane?
I don't know. I just liked they had a good rink, good little town. Just a nice spot.
When you got the lockout in the NHL, and that year the World Juniors is going on, I'm sure you're foaming at the mouth to get the invite to be on that team. Like, what was it like stepping on with that group of guys? I don't think anyone in Canada can argue that is like I remember watching that. That is the craziest group of hockey players to assemble for the World Juniors.
Yeah, it was great. That team was just so. I mean, look how many franchise tags are on that team. It's incredible the amount of guys. Everyone but me, pretty much. It was great because it was a lockout year. So like it was the show that year. Like that tournament was everything because there's no hockey going on. So, you get to play with Crosby and I used to go to LA with Crosby. We used to go to UCLA in the summers with our agent. This is back when I was still living in Lloyd, when I was like 15, 16. I was like, drive up to Edmonton, get on a flight, land in LA, stay at UCLA for 2 weeks, and then come back to Lloyd. Like, I was like, this is great. So I got, get to play with him again, Getzlaf, Perry, Bergeron. Bergeron was a great guy. I mean, I got along so good with him there. Hung out with him a lot. Steven Dixon, that was my linemate. Him and Colin Fraser. We were like just a mucker line. Pretty much what you did your whole career. But this Steven Dixon was Maritime guy. He was so funny. I mean, I couldn't even look at him. Like, don't look at me. Just go away from me. Like, day of the game, or like, just get away from me. The guy was so funny. Just couldn't take him serious at all.
One of the things I remember about that group was you had Sutter coaching.
Yeah.
And now, did you all have to have a certain type of haircut, or no long hair, or no facial hair, or something along that lines?
Yeah, he likes it. He's a clean cut cowboy, intense man, but great coach. Love the guy as a coach. Loved him because he picked me. Cost me $10,000, but it was worth it in the end. You don't get on that team without paying this guy out. Yeah, he was great though. I think I made it because I had good games and I always played pretty good against Red Deer, and he obviously got to see me firsthand for a couple of years. So, but he was strict, but at the same time, like nobody wants to win more than that guy. That guy's crazy. Loves to win.
How so?
He's just so intense, so prepared. So like, I mean, look when he played in the NHL. I mean, he was a heck of a player. So you could just feel it. Like when he steps in the room, he had like that. What's the word I'm looking for?
An air
I only
about
got
him?
my grade 12. Yeah, yeah. Like you just felt the presence when he walked in the room.
You say he was
Barely got my grade
you,
12.
and you can't remember it anyways.
No, nope.
You say he was prepared. What sticks out to you looking back on some of those things like that? You know, I mean, by that time you played some good hockey. Like,
Yeah,
what separated him from other coaches at that point?
he had good strategy, good systems. Knew the opponents in and out. Knew exactly what they were doing. We studied all that stuff. He was definitely ahead of the curve. So you go into the game knowing the game plan and just makes it a little easier.
How excited was the entire group to come up against Ovechkin and the Russians in the finals?
Yeah, we wanted to crush him. You know, that was I remember Brent pumped us up before that game, and you know, nobody swing away from him, hit him every chance, and we literally just pounded him. I mean, he left the game, I think, right halfway through or something. But
Yeah.
obviously an incredible player, but we knew, you know, like if you want to in a one game take all, you got to take him down, do it quick, you know. And so he took some big hits, and so yeah, that was a fun, really. Well, the only thing better than beating the Russians would have been beating the Americans in the final, but they stunk, so they couldn't even get there.
I can't wait for
They
my
look good though. They're matching tracksuits and everything. They look like a hockey team. They just weren't one.
I can't wait for my American buddies to all be texting me. They're just gonna be
Yeah,
hating on you
yeah,
or
no,
laughing. Probably they got a pretty good
yeah,
sense of humor. Who am I kidding?
yeah. I got a green card, so I'm kind of stabbing myself in the back there now.
How about the draft? What was it? You know, different guys have different experiences with talking to the teams before the draft, going through the combine, that kind of thing. When you look back on it, is there, you know, was Buffalo the team, did you think, or was there other things at play there?
Yeah, there. When I did the combine was in Toronto, so we did the whole workout thing, and then there were certain teams. Like I think I sat down with like 15 teams maybe or 17 teams, and there was like certain teams where there's like three guys in the room, you know. And then when I went in with Buffalo, like all 12 guys were in there, and like Phoenix was another one, LA was another one. I was like, oh, I could go to LA, that'll be nice. And obviously, I went to Buffalo, not the greatest city in the world, but you could tell like the teams are really interested, really had you higher up on their list or wherever. And I wasn't surprised when I went to Buffalo. Um, that's for sure.
When you got interviewed by, say, a team like LA or maybe even did you get interviewed by the Oilers?
No, I didn't.
That's too
I don't
bad.
think I got interviewed by the Oilers. No, that was my favorite team growing up too. How dare they? To just
Well,
rip that poster right off my wall right after the combine.
when you were a free agent, did you ever think of like, hey, maybe I should go back and play for the Oilers?
I know my parents did. I know they let me know every week. My dad was wanting me to come out west the whole time. I just, you know, there's a couple teams. I thought for a while I was going to end up in Nashville, and which would have been pretty cool. But Edmonton would have been, especially the new arena and everything, that would have been pretty cool. But it just wasn't there for me. I was always, you know, more interested in the East, more cash. Not that I played for money. Oh God.
What uh what was your first game like? because you're a guy who played for the Rochester Americans. Actually, let's go your first game in Rochester because you finished your Dub career, and then I assume fly down to Rochester for their playoffs that first year.
Yeah. Yeah, we finished up. We lost in the second round or something. Then my agent called and said, Rochester wants you to come up because they had a really good team in the playoffs and they were trying to win it. They're like, they want you to come and play. And I was kind of banged up, like my shoulder was sore. I had like a sprain in my shoulder and I was supposed to go to Cancun. So I was like, this isn't really working out as I had planned. And I was supposed to go with a bunch of buddies from Lloyd, I think, to Cancun. So, my dad's like, you go to Cancun when you get back, like you gotta, so I went down there and rehabbed for like a few days. And then I jumped right in the lineup and played the last couple of rounds with them. So that was fun just to get like a little taste of pro hockey and like playoff hockey. So it's good to have that in the back of my mind going into the next season.
Was it an eye opener going and playing some
Yeah.
AHL?
Yeah, because now you're playing against the men. And like the AHL now is like a glorified junior league because they have like the veteran rules and everything. But back then, my whole team, like 10 guys were 30 some years old. They had 3 kids, like full beards, like they're men, like men working, they're at their 9 to 5 job. And you want to try and take a 33-year-old's job who has 2 kids and a rent to pay, like you're going to earn it. You're going to earn it and it's going to hurt. And it did, like, I mean, no one's giving their jobs up, they're trying to feed their family. And it was a rough first half of the first year for me. It was tough.
How so?
Just the strength. Like I thought I trained hard. Like I didn't train hard. Like these guys train hard, like, so it was an eye opener and took me the whole first half of training, getting in the gym, putting in my time to build myself up and feel confident. And then the second half I went on a tear and played really well. And I led our team in points that year, I think the first year. But the first half it was definitely an eye opener.
What was the lifestyle change like going from the Dub where you're still you're still a kid playing in the A. I mean you're a young guy, but going from kind of a very structured system where they kind of keep tabs on you, and then heading over to pro where you got to look after yourself, and if you want it, you got to be the guy pushing the envelope.
Yeah, it was tough because you got to cook, you got to do your laundry. I'm on the phone with my mom. How do I wash my underwear? Like, because at the billets they're doing everything for you. So like, how do I cook this? How do I need to get a credit card. I need to pay this bill. So I put her through hell that first year, but that was probably the toughest part. And then there's half the American League guys aren't going anywhere. The American League's the ceiling for them. So like they want to go party. They want to go, that's the last stop for them. And for me, I was like, I'm trying to get out of here. I'm not looking to get comfy in Raj, even though I have a place there now in the summers, but I don't know why. My wife's from there, but I was just so focused on getting to Buffalo, I only spent a couple of years in Roch and then I was up, but I didn't want to get sucked into the Bull Durham minor league because that was going on. There was a lot of drinking and a lot of stuff going on if you wanted it.
Well, I would say a lot of people get sucked into that. You don't need to be playing in the AHL to get sucked into the party lifestyle, because I mean we all go through that and are all offered an opportunity to go into it.
Yeah, and it's not like I didn't party. I mean, anyone listening to this that knows me knows I've tied it on a few, here and there when time's right, but you gotta have your priorities in line. And mine was to make the NHL, not to be the best partier on the team.
What did you learn? You spent, what did I say, 3 years? 04, 05, 05, 06, and then starting in 06, 07, you start splitting games, I believe, into the NHL. What did you focus on while down there? What did they have you working on? Were you just obviously getting stronger, building your game, confidence, you name it? But like, was there specific things you were trying to do down playing in the A?
I think for me, like I recognize like how good the top end guys are in the NHL, and not everyone can play in the top couple lines. I was lucky enough to get to play second line most of my career, but there's always every coach wants like a two-way guy on all those lines. So I worked on penalty killing. I worked on getting the puck off the wall out of my end. I worked with the assistant coaches nonstop on all these little things that make a big difference, but nobody really wants to work on those. And I was like, I need to like separate myself somehow from everyone else. And so I tried to, become a better two-way player, not just offense, like try and have a little bit of both sides of the game going for me. And that helped me.
When did you learn? When did you realize that? Like, if I don't separate myself, I could be sitting here for a while.
Yeah, just I think in training camp, you see like Danny Briere and you see like the top guys, you're like, wow, those guys they're definitely better than I am. Like you're not taking their job. They make $7 million a year. They're under contract. Like you're not getting that job, So it's like, how can you make yourself? How can you find a home on this team? Like, what are you gonna do? Like you gotta, So like, do I like checking and no, of course I don't want to get hit. I'm like I should have been born in Europe. But like you have to find a way to, you know, um, you know, make an impact or help the team. And that's, it doesn't take long to figure it out if that's all you're trying to do is get there.
You mentioned you didn't indulge in the late night life very often, but if you were to in the A, what was the fun town to go to?
In the AHL,
Yeah.
oh God, probably Chicago, just like the NHL, Chicago, best city in the US, hands down.
Why is that?
Just great atmosphere, like downtown, like the restaurants and bars and, you know, good looking humans.
That does help.
Yeah. Yeah, I always liked that city. Nashville's fun too. Like Chicago's that's the spot. Like in the summers too. Like Jess and I go once in a while to Chicago in the summer just to hang out for a couple nights and stay downtown. It's a really cool place. A lot of history. It's a good spot.
Hmm. I would have thought so many people talk about Vegas as being that place.
Yeah, Vegas is well. Vegas. I wasn't even in the league when Vegas came in. I don't think, or I was hurt. I mean, I was hurt my whole whole life.
Didn't they have a team in the A though, Clark, or no?
No, not unless I'm drawing a massive
No,
blank.
no, no. You'd know better than I would. I thought they had a team in the A for a bit.
They didn't have a team when I was playing. I mean, San Antonio had a team. Houston had a team. Those were pretty much the teams. I'm trying to think anything further than that. Yeah, Vegas definitely didn't have a team.
That's got to be a fun spot to go now as a team, I bet.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard some good stories. I've been a few times, like just on vacation, but it's everything's available there. Take that for what you want.
I was listening to I mean, you search your name on YouTube and it shows all your top goals. The ones that are the best is when Rick Jenneret is calling them. A guy has
Yeah,
like the greatest freaking voice in the world.
yeah,
Like he's got to be top, I don't know, 5 all time in the NHL for calling games.
yeah.
As a player, did you ever like? Do you guys even care about that? I'm trying to think if I ever cared about it, but like
Oh,
it's
he's a
Rick
legend in
Jenneret.
Buffalo. Guys
Yeah,
love him. Yeah, he's traveling with us every day. It was him and Harry Neal. Harry Neal would have 6 Coors Lights down by the time we got on the bus after the game to the airport. Minimum 6 in his thing. I remember we were leaving Pittsburgh. It's like a legendary story. We're leaving Pittsburgh after the game. We're like in traffic, and Lindy Ruff's the coach, and Harry Neal I like walk by his seat because they're all the media is up front, so they get off the bus and look in Harry Neal's seat like we always did because it was hilarious. He had 8 beers in there in like a 30-minute. It was legendary. I mean, the guy would put him down like waters, and like try drinking 8 bottles of water. That's hard too, let alone beers. So he gets off the bus, and I see like the bus pulls right up beside the plane, and you just walk up the stairs onto the plane. So I see half the guys on the walkway. It's cold out, and they're all like looking down at the bus. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's the holdup? Harry Neal's got his horn out on the front of the bus, like the lights are shining on the bus. He's got his hand up, taking a leak right on the front of the bus, like just absolutely crippled. And I mean, and like Lindy's like, "What are you gonna say?" Like the guy's a legend. Like, what can you say to him? It's just so funny. They were awesome. Him and Rick were just hilarious.
Be nice to get to that legendary of status, wouldn't it, in life?
Oh my God. I don't know if I want to earn it the way Harry did. I mean, that guy's liver's got to be like, I think the Czech liver light's been blinking for about 30 years.
You read some of the old books. I was just talking. Me and Ken Staniforth were talking a day or two ago about, some of the books that come out about old. I mean, like you go through Don Cherry and them guys, but I read Brian Kilray and his stories about getting on the bus after games in the OHL, and that's just what they did. And he played back in the time of when the NHLPA, the Players Association, starts, right? And they talk about hopping on the bus and here's a 6-pack, and that's what they did, right? Like they crushed beer.
Those guys went hard. They went hard. I played with Chris Chelios at the end of his career. He's a legend, legendary
Atlanta.
Drink. Yeah, he could pound. I mean, he would bring his bike right into the sauna after practice and just sweat the poison out. The guy's a maniac. Awesome guy.
How unreal was that? Because he was 47 or 48.
Yeah, 48 maybe. Played 30 years. Like I barely lived 30 years. I'm 35. It's crazy. 30 years in the league.
Did you, when he walked in the dressing room in Atlanta, did you just kind of like ears perk up and try and catch a few things?
Yeah. Well, my uncle roomed with his brother, Steve Chelios. So like we had like an instant connection. And then he comes down here and golfs now because he's friends with Jordan too. So I get to see him. I get to see him at golf and watch him drink a beer a hole. Pretty legendary. Yeah. Still in better shape than I am. 50 some years old. Just a Greek god. Yeah.
Does he just work out nonstop then? Is that like his job?
Yeah, he's got a sickness for sure. Just in unbelievable shape. How long are we gonna chat for here? Should I make a sandwich? I mean, we've been going at it here for a little bit. I might just pull up to the kitchen here. We can just do this all afternoon.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna keep chatting. So if you got to do things, you figure it out.
Like a cooking network here in a minute.
Well, to give you some.
I'm still making the mac. I could do the mac and cheese for everyone in Lloyd.
When I first started doing this, I targeted about an hour, and then you cut off good conversations. And so what people would say was, "Why do you keep cutting fucking people off? Smarten up." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. So then I go an hour and a half, right? Yeah. Thinking like, "Geez, that's a freaking long time." And then they hassle me again. Like, if the guy wants to talk, let him talk. I'm like, okay. So I'm not sitting here saying we're going for 4 hours by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, the other thing we can do too, Clark, is we can go for another 20 minutes, and then I can just bug you again in a couple months, and we can do a second part if you want.
Oh, we're doing part 2 for sure. Hold on, I'm gonna take a picture of you. I miss you, man. I haven't seen you forever. There we go.
That's perfect. A good-looking fucking human right there.
That's a good-looking man right there. I'm gonna send this to you. Whatever you want to do, brother. I'm available for part 2. I'm available to cook for everyone. I can, you tell me.
Well, before COVID happened, I was fully planning on coming down there. Like I was like, screw it, I'm gonna fly down. I'm gonna hit up Robert Oswald, who lives just south of you. I think it's south, and then I'll slide up and hit you. And I like doing it in person. I like sitting across from somebody and
Yeah.
bullshit and a coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun that way. But now, shit, like things are just this world we're living in. It's just crazy right now, and so make the best of it.
Yeah. It's good they got this Zoom thing. I mean, this is pretty cool. But in person's nice.
Yeah, well, if we ever get it opened up again, I'll make sure I come down and you can absolutely destroy me on a golf game. I'll let you feel good.
Yeah, it's either that or I'll come back to Lloyd. Maybe we'll go gopher hunting. God, I want to shoot one of those little bastards. I think I've been bottled up in this house too long. I just want to shoot something. Oh.
Well, they're running around. That can be doable. There'll be 400 freaking farmers just lining up to let you come shoot some gophers.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, you hear that crack? It's insane. Yeah. I don't have many years left, I don't think. Oh, got to get my golf in now.
Do you notice
his body's just breaking down?
Do you got to do workouts, stretches, that kind of thing to like keep yourself limber?
Yeah, for sure. I got to work the guns out.
Put those little pea shooters down.
Got to get these things ready for the beach here. They are pea shooters.
How hard was it being traded on the deadline, or did you see that coming? You're playing for Buffalo now. You're up and you're playing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Clark, but you guys playing with Buffalo hadn't made the playoffs again for a little bit of a stretch, and you're on a team that is for sure making the playoffs that year. And then at the deadline, you get dealt to Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what they do. They deal the dead weight. So they pooched me out of town. It was to get traded because that was the first time I'd been traded. And like literally when you get traded, like that afternoon, I got on a flight, went to Atlanta, got picked up, went to a hotel, played the next day. And like you just have to like get your life together. It was crazy. Like I packed my wooden suit box, or what is George Strait? What's that song? Pack up. I can't remember. Anyway, but yeah, I just like it was a tough month and a half that I was there for sure. I did not enjoy my time there. I liked the city and everything. It was just such a cluster the whole time. And we had like 17 Russians on the team. I don't love that either.
Tough playing with different nationalities?
No, they just like Russians are like, they're like the Russian mafia, like they kind of just hang out with each other. They speak Russian in the room. Not that they're bad guys. I played with Kuhlman and Grabowski in Toronto. They're two of my best buddies when I played there. They're awesome guys. But it was just like a divided team. We had a bunch of Swedes. We had a bunch of Russians. We had, we didn't have enough farmers. That was the problem.
So you like playing with the good old Sasky boys?
Yeah, I like just playing with the regular Joe guys. Talk about Pilsner. How many bunnies are on the bottle?
Now you're going back.
Yeah, no kidding.
Is that still? What's your beer choice right now? What is the thing down in Florida?
I drink Coors Light pretty much. Whatever's cold, but Coors Light.
Coors Light? What do you drink? Might as well just drink water.
Especially American beers. They're a little lighter, aren't they?
I don't know. They definitely aren't good.
Americans are soft. They gotta, take a couple % off the alcohol.
God, I miss when I was in college. Be surrounded. In college in the States, you're surrounded by, you got Americans everywhere, but now you're surrounded by American hockey players. We used to watch World Juniors all the time. That was the greatest. And the Olympics went on while we were there too, and so you just get to absolutely razz each other. Like,
Yeah.
just great.
Yeah. Oh, it's always that battle, between Canada, U.S. that never goes away. It seems like.
We used to do a shootout challenge. I think it was like once a week, the Can-Am challenge, where the Canadians would go against the Americans. You guys do
Yeah.
that at the end of practice or anything like that?
Yeah, we did some stuff like that once in a while. Little games like that. All the countries go against each other or whatever. Yeah.
What are some of the things you miss? You've been in a league, what's some of the things you miss about playing the game? Obviously, the paycheck.
Yeah. I miss scoring a goal like that. For like 2 seconds after you score a goal, you get this like ecstasy that I've never been able to get. Well, maybe like if I pour an eagle in on or a birdie in on Jordan on 18 for the cash, I'm pretty happy. But there's just this feeling you get that it's like I've never been able to like get that feeling again. So that's kind of what I miss. I miss that. I miss a lot of things about playing. I mean, I don't miss being hurt. I don't miss the grind. I don't miss that, but I miss the guys, the travel. You get on a jet. Yeah, I mean, life is good. So I very grateful for getting to see that life.
Well, that'd be an eye opener, I would assume, going from even the Western League where you're on a bus going everywhere to now you're on jets flying the world, flying the North America.
Yeah, playing Texas Hold'em, nothing better.
What was the media frenzy like? Like, you go to the Leafs, and I know all the places you played. I'm sure the media is all over you, but Toronto's just a special place. When you watch some of the behind scene footage of those places, like Toronto is on a different level altogether. Was that something you thrived on, or was it like it just like what is this?
I liked it at first, and then it gets old really quick.
Like, how quick is really quick? Like 2 weeks, 2 months?
Probably like the second year, I was just sick of it. Like 50 media people in the dressing room every single day asking the same questions, like because there's so many papers or so many. It's like, and then we didn't have a good team that first year, so it's like, they're just, you couldn't even, I mean, we go to dinner, but you couldn't even go out in town. Like we just stopped. I would just order in. You go to dinner and hey, like it was like right out of Slapshot. You could work on that power play. Like, yeah, we're working on it. Or like, hey, you look up from your spaghetti and meatballs, and there's like 12 people looking at you. You're like, huh, you know, like it was cool to have that experience because you're like a New York Yankee when you play for the Leafs. But at the same time, like I don't know, I've never been huge on the crowds and that kind of stuff.
So what would you guys do to get away from that? Like, would you? I don't know.
Like when you have a day off or something, no one's seeing anyone. Everyone hates everyone anyway. We've been together 6 days in a row. Like you get the one day off a week, and I just sat in my apartment, ordered from this burger joint I loved. We always had Sundays off, and I just watched football.
Who's your football team?
I like the Packers. I used to like I don't know. I don't even. Ever since they started kneeling in the anthem, I don't really like football anymore.
Are you a Bucks fan right now?
A Bucks, yeah, that's crazy. You went there. Actually, the owner of the Bucks, his family lives beside us in Rochester. The Glazer family. So I've been to a couple of Bucks games and went and sat with them in the owner's suite, and it's pretty cool. They own that team. I actually got a funny story about this. If you want to keep this thing on air, um, his name's Joel Kasowitz, and he's a member at Oak Hill Golf Course in Rochester, where I'm a member. And we're playing the invite, and I can't remember who I had there as a partner. I think I had Kessel. Phil Kessel usually comes and plays with me. And we get down the first hole, and like if you live in Roch, you're a Bills fan, you're a Buffalo Bills fan, even though they stink. Like you have to be a Bills fan, right? And he's got this Bucks hat on, and the Bucks were awful too. And it was like the second or third hole. I'm like, nice hat. He's like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, what a terrible team they are. Like just kind of like chiming him. He's like, yeah, I know we have to wear it though. We own the team. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, they're actually pretty good. I didn't mind them. They own the Bucks and Manchester United. How about that?
Have you gone over to watch a Manchester United game?
No.
Screw the Bucks, Clark. Get
Oh
over.
yeah, the Bucks are 3 hours from here though. That's the only
You
reason I went to that.
Yeah, well, you 3 hours is nothing.
Yeah.
How was the owner's box?
Nice.
You're gonna give. How was the owner's box? It was nice. It was nice. Like really, it was nice. That's the word.
Whatever you're thinking, that's what it was. That's how nice it was. I don't know. I'm not like an interior design. Like, I mean, it was like a nice bar. Like, I mean, I really like the granite countertops they picked. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And me and Joel were betting on the game, like a little side action. So I had Cincinnati, and he had the Bucks. Obviously, that's his team. So we're sitting there, and it's like a tight game, and his wife's sitting beside him, and her family owns a team. And it comes down to the field goal at the end of the game, and Cincinnati has a chance to win the game. And literally, I can't remember, we're gambling maybe $500,000 for the game. And they kick it. It's like a 50-yard field goal right down the chute, right to the thing. And I'm like, yeah, like I just reacted like because I won the bet. And he looked over at me. He's like, like, not now. My wife's right there. Like, I don't, it was so funny. That was the last time I've been there, though. That was my last invite.
And you didn't get invited again.
Which is kind of rude by them. I win and I don't get to come back. That's a joke.
Cheering for the Bucks losing. Yeah, you can't invite that guy back.
No, that's fine. I got my T-shirt. I'm done there. Got my free football. He's like, "Who do you want to sign it?" I'm like, "I don't know one guy on this team. You guys are in last place." It's like someone asking me for a signed hockey puck. Do they really want it? I doubt it.
You know what that brings up is when you did Undercover Pro and you were Phil. You remember that in Sport Check?
Yeah.
That's funny shit, man.
Yeah, that was fun.
Did you actually sell a jersey or was that freaking total BS?
To this day, I don't know. I'm sure they staged that because, I mean, was he going to buy MacArthur jersey? I don't know, Not the easiest thing.
No, if listeners don't know what the heck I'm talking about, go search, I don't know, Undercover Pro Clarke MacArthur or something like that on YouTube. And Clarke is Employee of the Month, Phil. Phil Johnson. Who goes around the store with a camera crew. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Was that like a standard thing, or was it because you were starting to kind of show up as one of the players, one of the guys?
That was the first year there. We had a lot of attention. Our line, like me, Grabowski, and Kuhlman, we were having a really good year. So I don't know, we ended up getting quite a bit of like side deal stuff, like cars and, in Toronto, they make it widely available to go speak to corporate or do certain things. So
what was the coolest corporate gig you did then?
I went to an IndyCar or what is it called? I don't know. Like, IndyCar race, whatever it was. And we're like in the corporate tent there, and just a cool event, people all dressed up, myself included, drinking, having dinner, watching the race. The race is going around,
What'd you think of that? The race,
sorry,
I mean.
It wasn't Indy, sorry. It was Formula One.
Oh, Formula One.
Yes. So it was like, and then they're gone again, and like you go back to eating your steak or whatever you're eating.
So what did you think of that? What do you think of the races? Like, were the races good, or are you just like, that's kind of fucked up? Like, you're not even seeing anything.
I mean, I barely even watched. I was just mingling, having a good time. It's more about it was just a cool setup. We were sitting up above everything. It was just like a bunch of cool people in there and like myself,
When you look back on it, I mean, not that you can top Jordan because Jordan is Jordan, and now you get thrown out Tom Brady. But when you look back on your playing days, who is the one person who walked into, whether it's the dressing room or walks into a bar you're at and sits down with you, when you think back on like cool experiences and cool people that walked in and you got to sit and bullshit with for 20 minutes, who's a person that sticks out?
I think like the biggest name was like Crosby then, probably. Like he would have been like the wow factor of hockey. But I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm just thinking about mac and cheese right now. Oh, you know who I met last year was I go to this Joe Namath. I go to this Joe Namath golf tournament at Trump right down the road here, and got to golf or was on the driving range and kind of hung out with Bobby Orr for a little bit, which is really cool.
Bobby Orr.
Yeah, yeah, he lives down here, and one of my dad's really good friends, Barry Gibbs. Do you know that name?
Yep.
Yeah, right. You're like googling it down below right now. It's Barry Gibbs. It's Gibbs. If you want to like pretend like you know. He was like first or second overall drafted, and he was
Calls
Bobby
me
Orr.
on my fucking bullshit. Fuck you, buddy.
And he's Bobby Orr's. He was Bobby Orr's D partner. So I said to him, my dad's good friends with Barry Gibbs, and instantly he's like, "Oh, how's Gibby doing?" Like all that, you know. It was pretty neat. And I know Barry Gibbs very well just because he'd come to our house and hang out, and he's a great guy, and you know, he played in the NHL for a long time too.
Well, this is what we're gonna do, because I know you want to get to your mac and cheese and everything else. It's the third or fourth time you brought it up. Your stomach's rumbling. I can't keep you focused anymore.
I'm gonna have to plug my phone or my iPad in here.
I told you we were gonna use it all.
Thought this was like a 4-minute interview. Thank God I got this nice comfy chair to sit on.
Well, now you know. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the Crude Master we're gonna go into the Crude Master Final Five. We're gonna end it on this segment, and then what we're gonna do is in a month's time we're gonna have part 2.
Love it.
Okay. So here's the Crude Master Final Five. It's the last segment of the podcast. Heath and Tracy McDonald, sponsors of the podcast. Huge shout out to them. It's just 5 questions. Clarky, you take it as long or as short as you want so you can get back to your mac and cheese.
Okay.
If you could pick your line mates, who would you play with?
Do I have to say like Lloyd guys?
Nope. Anyone you want. Current, past, who you played with, who you didn't play with, against, you name it.
Scotty Hartnell I'd play with. And who could we throw on our line with us? Crosby, McDavid. I got about 5 guys I'd like to play with. McDavid, actually. Actually, I'm kicking Hartnell out. I'm going to take Crosby and McDavid.
How sad, well, I'm sure you're like the rest of us, that the Olympics didn't happen and those 2 guys didn't get to play on the same team.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't lose any sleep over it, but yeah, I would like to have seen it.
If you could have coffee with one person or beer or whatever your beverage is, you could sit down with one person, who would you take?
God, that's such a hard one. I've been watching this Last Dance, so maybe Rodman. Love to hear a couple of his stories.
Rodman would be fun.
Yeah.
Can you believe he got to go on hiatus for like 4 days in the middle of a season?
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
What's been your favorite COVID hobby? What have you been up to? Obviously golf.
Golf, more golf. My favorite sport.
Who was your favorite media guy?
Media guy?
Yeah, who did you like talking to that you give time of day?
You.
Well, that's an awfully nice compliment. I guess I've won you over in an hour and 20 minutes.
Is that all? I thought we were up going on 4 hours here.
It's been that painful.
I could be in Calgary by now if I was, started in Lloyd. I'd be just pulling into the city.
Well, get on a fucking plane. Let's do it.
maybe this summer.
So who's your favorite media guy?
Favorite media guy?
Was there a favorite guy? There wasn't a guy who walked in the dressing room and you're like, you know what, I'll talk to Bo over there because, you know, he's been pretty good.
Bruce Garrioch and Donnie Brennan in Ottawa were pretty funny guys.
They come in the dressing room after games?
Yeah, they're with our team. Yeah, they're good guys.
All right, final one for you so I can let you get on to back to golf, nurse your hangover. Who's the best? Who's the best player that when you stepped on the ice, whether they were playing with you, against you, and you're just like holy crap?
Like so good, you mean?
Yeah.
Datsuk.
Datsuk? Like not like you played against Ovechkin, Crosby.
Yeah, I think Datsuk was just so good everywhere, you know? Like those guys are really good offensively, but if you get them in their own end, like it's not like the worst thing in the world. Like Datsuk was like just dangerous everywhere. I mean, that's my 2 cents. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, you're the guy who played him. I'm the guy who watches the game. I enjoyed watching you play, Clarke.
Oh, look, hold on a sec. My wife's out the window. She's like, "Hey, I need to come in and shower." Okay, that's great. Well,
okay. Hey, I really enjoy it. Appreciate you taking some time to sit down with me. We'll make sure we hook up for part 2.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Take care.
You as well.
See ya.
Hey folks, thanks again for joining us today. If you just stumbled on the show and like what you hear, please click subscribe. Remember, every Monday and Wednesday, a new guest will be sitting down to share their story. The Shaun Newman podcast is available for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you find your podcast fix. Until next time.